What's going on, guys? It's Brandon back here again today for another career video. Second time I tried to shoot this today. I tried to shoot it this morning, then I had work, so I could not try it again. Today we're going to be doing the career video of John Scott, who is an undrafted player. I mentioned doing the career video yesterday in my Brandon Bollig career video. If planes would stop flying over, that'd be fantastic. But John Scott was an undrafted player. He played 4 years at Michigan Tech, and then he signed with the AHL's affiliate of the Minnesota Wild at the time, the Houston Aeros. Of course, now it is the Iowa Wild, but at the time it was the Houston Aeros. He signs a professional contract with them in 2000. That was weird. In 2006-07, and doesn't play with the Wild until 2008-09, where he plays 20 games, no goals, 1 assist, 1 point. 21 penalty minutes, yes I am including penalty minutes, and no playoffs, as the Wild do not make the playoffs at this stage. 2009-2010 would be his last season with the Wild. He plays 51 games, has his 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points, 90 penalty minutes, and no playoffs once again for Minnesota. It was never about the points with Scott. He was a fighter, he was a pure enforcer defenseman who sometimes played forward, especially in Chicago. He signs with Chicago in 2010-11. And in 40 games, no goals, 1 assist, 1 point, 72 penalty minutes. He plays his only 4 playoff games that year against Vancouver. No goals, no assist, no points, yet he has 22 penalty minutes. 2011-12 with Chicago, he plays 29 games, no goals, 1 assist, 1 point, 48 penalty minutes. He doesn't make the playoffs with Chicago, though, because he's traded to the Rangers at the deadline for just some depth for the Rangers. He plays 6 games with the Rangers then, no goals, no assists, no points, 5 penalty minutes, showing that he was in a fight. He did not play in the playoffs for the Rangers as they went to the conference final that year. He then signs with Buffalo for 2012-13. There we go. Why does my computer keep doing that? 2012-13, plays 34 games, no goals, no assists, no points, 69 penalty minutes, however, so his last point at this point came about 2 seasons ago. So at this point, he really needs a point, but those 69 penalty minutes are nice. And Buffalo, of course, does not make the playoffs because it's Buffalo. 2013-14, 56 games played with Buffalo, 1 goal, no assist, 1 point, 125 penalty minutes. That's a career high there. No playoffs because it's Buffalo. 2014-15, he signs with the San Jose Sharks and plays 38 games, has his career high in points and goals, 3 goals, 1 assist, 4 points, 87 penalty minutes, and it's the 1 year in that area that the Sharks do not make the playoffs. The 1 year that they miss in that entire Joe Thornton, Patrick Marleau era. Then he signs with the Coyotes in 2015-16. So this is his 5th team. He plays 11 games. Or I forgot to mention why he was what he was rented out at the deadline for. I realized that. February 27, 2012, Hawks traded him to the Rangers for a 2012 5th round pick. So forgot to mention that. Sorry about that. And but yeah, the Coyotes, he plays 11 games, no goals, 1 assist, 1 point, 25 penalty minutes, and he goes to the All-Star game that year. We'll come back to that. No playoffs because it's the Coyotes, and he's also traded 2015-16. He's traded on January 15th of 2016 from the Coyotes to the Canadiens. John Scott goes with Victor Bartley to Montreal in exchange for Jared Tenorti, the current Blackhawk, and Stephen Fournier. And we'll come back to this a little bit later, but yeah, he goes to Montreal, plays 1 game, no goals, no assists, no points, 2 penalty minutes, and he spends the rest of his career in the minors for a season, and then he would retire. His totals for his career: 286 games played, 5 goals, 6 assists, 11 points, 544 penalty minutes for an unforced defenseman that didn't play that long. He basically doubled his games with his penalty minutes. 4 games played in the playoffs, no goals, no assists, no points, 22 penalty minutes, so about 566 penalty minutes there. He did have some run-ins with the NHL player safety. On October 31st, 2013, he was suspended 7 games while with Buffalo for a check to the head of Louis Eriksson. Of course, I would give him a concussion, and he really would not be the same after that season. I mean, 2013-14, he was good, but after that, it kind of just... Or was it 2014-15? It was one of those years with Boston that Eriksson was never the same after, and with Vancouver, it was just did not work. It was abysmal. He gets 7 games for that. October 26, 2014, he's suspended for starting a line brawl against the Anaheim Ducks. That's with the Sharks, yes. That is with the Sharks. And So he's suspended 2 games for that. And then he gets later discipline on it on December 24th, 2014, because he was suspended this time 4 games for punching an unsuspecting opponent, that being Tim Jackman, and causing injury. So that was a follow-up on the previous one. So he ends up getting 6 games combined with those 2 suspensions. So 13 games lost in his career there. Moving on. The biggest thing about John Scott, everyone remembers the All-Star Game. In 2015-16, in his final NHL season, he goes to the All-Star Game and wins All-Star Game MVP. The NHL was not happy about this, and we'll get into why. So, John Scott wins the All-Star Game fan vote, and it's a complete joke. Everyone knows he's like, it's not because he's a good player, it's because just for the joke of it, he's the joke of the league, that kind of thing. Even though he's not an actual joke, but like, it'd be fun to see like a guy that people just, he's not the greatest player, but they just vote for him just because why not? It's John Scott. And so he's selected to play in the All-Star Game for the Arizona Coyotes. And he said he didn't deserve it and to vote for his teammates. And then the Coyotes asked him to remove himself, and he declined. He basically doubled down saying, if my teammates aren't going to get voted, I'll represent them. And in retaliation for that, even though the Coyotes say that they didn't and it was a pure business move, he is traded to they traded him to Montreal because Montreal was going to send him down to the minors. That way he could not be in the NHL All-Star Game. However, the NHL did find him eligible to play in the All-Star Game. He ends up being the team captain for the Pacific team, and he scores 2 goals in the All-Star Game and gets in a fight with Patrick Kane, as a joke, former teammate of his. And he wins All-Star Game MVP, which is usually voted on. However, he won by MVP even though the NHL didn't put him on the ballot, because the backlash would have been crazy. Every fan wanted it, and every fan demanded it, so the NHL, in a good PR move, was like, okay, John Scott wins the All-Star Game MVP, and they changed the rules right after that All-Star Game, right into next season. They said that's not happening again. If you play in the AHL, you can't play in the All-Star Game. They made sure this could never happen again. And, but that's the story of John Scott and why he is an all-star and had won All-Star Game MVP in 2015-16. He ended up playing with St. John's Ice Caps, I believe, was Montreal's affiliate at the time. Now it's the Laval Rocket. But, that would end his career. So 7 different teams here. You got the Wild, Chicago, the Rangers, the Sabres, the Sharks, the Coyotes, and the Canadiens. Although the 1 game with the Canadiens and 6 games with the Rangers. Doesn't matter, he played for them all. I want to thank you guys so much for watching here, and I shall see you guys in the next one. Comment down below. Do you remember the John Scott scenario, and was he just... He was a fun dude. Now he's, of course, a media person for the NHL. He appears on NHL Network. He has a podcast. But once again, I'll conclude it here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Comment down below your thoughts, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.